Yo, hello everyone. This is Z. We're back with Mind High. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. What's up? This is Ali.
What's up, Shaz?
And we've got our friend from law enforcement, Frank Rizzo, with us tonight.
R-I-Z-Z-O.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to start using that.
It's cool. Wait.
So, was that another reference to the ZZO thing earlier on?
Yeah, I was going to ask it, like, never mind.
Never mind. Well, anyway.
I thought I had a joke, but I'm going to let it go. No.
It happens.
I'm offended.
Oh, you're our first guest.
Well,
so, welcome.
It's an honor. Thank you.
And the last.
And, you know, before we came on, you were showing us some really interesting videos about with police encounters. And, you know, the thing that got me was that it seems like the general public doesn't understand how to act when they're around police officers. They don't know, like, what to do when they're being arrested. They don't know. They're like, they need to be educated on these things because it looks like they're trying to wrestle with the officer. They're not putting their hand up. And when there's a gun involved, it's really dangerous. Like, how do we get the general public to understand what they're supposed to do in these situations?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to go as far. I can't go as far as saying that they don't know because you look at policing in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, everyone complied. I want to say mostly everyone complied. The police were respected. It was still viewed as a noble profession, so people knew how to act around police. It started changing within the last 10 years, where just disrespecting officers and not complying with them. That started happening, and that's why we're at where we're at now.
I mean, there's to have more context to the thing. I think before we started all this, you kind of walked us through a cool exercise with Shaz, where you had him do 30 push-ups and 30
jumping jacks, and
yeah. So he did that 2-3 times.
He did two rounds of it with another set of push-ups, and then I had him take a empty gun and with a dime on the sights and try to pull the trigger and have that dime stay on there. We get that we do it, we train like that to help us with the trigger control. A nice, easy, smooth pull back. Now, I did the push-ups and the jumping jacks to simulate an adrenaline rush.
Right.
What you get when you are in a high-stress situation. And, you know, he pulled the trigger. He didn't even get to pull the trigger. His hands were shaking and the dime fell right off, so he missed his shot.
Right. I think the reason you showed this to me is because I think we were having a conversation 2 weeks ago, and I was saying, I was asking you why can't cops just shoot them? Why they always got to shoot to kill? Why can't they shoot them in the leg or something? And your response to was that because in that moment you have, like you said, you're in a rush. Your heart's beating.
Your tunnel vision, adrenaline's going. You're shaking. You go deaf for momentarily. You can't hear anything. That's why when you see videos and the cops shooting, 16 times, 15 times, you don't know how many times you're really shooting. A lot of times they interview police officers and they say, well, how many times you shoot? The officer says, I only shot 5 times.
Right.
Well, your magazine's empty. Oh my God, I didn't even realize. So it's a lot of things are going on when you have an adrenaline rush. And what were you saying? I forgot what the question was.
No, I was just trying to tie this into give more context of why you showed us that exercise, because I think me as a viewer, every time you're seeing all these police shootings, the first thing that always came in my mind is why are they always shooting to kill? And if they are in a situation where there's some altercation or whatever, why can't they aim at the leg or something to avoid killing the citizen and avoid having the mess that we're having on hand is and that's the civilians losing trust in cops and stuff like that. So it kind of shows you when you're in that moment, we as a viewer from outside looking in don't understand the situation that's taking place, because we just feel like just looking at the video, I would have done this differently.
Right, that's Monday night quarterbacking. We don't ever Monday night quarterback another police officer's actions because human beings are dynamic and every situation's dynamic. Just how when you get in a fight, it's dynamic. You don't know what they train us to do this, but that's not what's going to happen. So, I don't wake up and say, all right, if I shoot somebody, if I have a chance, not a chance, but if I get in a situation where I'm going to shoot someone, I'm going to shoot 4 times in the chest. You don't know. You can't. It's a dynamic situation. You might shoot from the ground, might shoot from, it's hard enough to shoot. Now you want me to shoot in the arm if someone's coming at me with a knife. I'm going to shoot. We're trained to shoot in the center mass, so from the waist
right
to the chin down.
The craziest thing is when I went and did the 30 push-ups to simulate the adrenaline and whatnot, and you had me put the dime on the gun. So for people to understand, you take any shooting video game, Call of Duty, etc. It's the red dot, your aiming cursor. Mine would have been all over the place. I was shaking. Right? I was shaking, and you right away said that that's not even, that's like 1/10 of what you would feel, because that full adrenaline. And then you got to understand that, your life is at risk. You were also telling us earlier that, a person can get to you from, what was that? Like
somewhere around 21 feet. They did a study. I don't know how many seconds exactly. I forget what the study's called, but a person can get from 21 feet to where you're at. I want to say in about a second and a half.
So I think it's just like, it's so unfair that, people do judge cops, and there's situations that are bad. But so when I did this test, I just felt like I wouldn't have, and people, like you were saying, why don't you shoot them in the leg, immobilize them essentially.
Right.
But there would be zero chance, even like I would not be able to do it.
Because the dime, I think, fell before you even pulled the trigger.
Before I could pull the trigger, yeah. So
because your hands were shaking that bad.
Yeah, and now if my life was at risk, I would spray. I would just fire away. Like I gotta live.
Empty the clip.
It's about me. It's about me living, going back to my family, and that's the issue cops face every day. And I understand it better now, because I thought the same way as you did. Why not just immobilize them and solve the situation that way? I don't know if you're in the situation more and more, if there's certain training, eventually you'd get slightly better, but I don't see that as a big improvement.
People talk about the taser too. Taser's the greatest invention in law enforcement.
Right.
I mean, it's great. I mean, you pull it out and people comply automatically. But the thing with the taser is now when you're wearing heavy clothing, the taser's not going to get to the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And now the tasers reach about 18 feet. Now, if you got somebody with a bat or a knife standing, certain feet away, are you going to sit there and pull out the taser and say, point it at him and calculate, okay, let me wait till he gets within that 18 feet, then I shoot. Now you're doing,
So does every cop carry a taser and a gun?
Every yes.
Okay.
So would that would a taser be like completely useless in
No.
winter?
No. You know what? It's no.
So wait, so even if they have a heavy jacket, it still works?
If it hits you, it's got to hit. It can touch clothing, but if you got layers on, it's not, the electrical current's not going to get in there.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Now,
I didn't know that.
the one thing that you guys were talking about, so that is kind of like the counter argument from people that haven't been in the situations that you've been in, right? And they would say that why can't we get better training? Why can't we be trained to such a level where even if adrenaline and all that kicks in, that you should be able to take a specific shot, for instance. But like you said, it's very difficult, right? You in that heat of the moment. So what do you say to people like that think that that's a proper argument?
Well, I think that there's a yes and a no answer to that. Yeah, we can always use we can always use more training. Always. There's different tactics. The thing is that, when people say that, it's because they don't understand. They don't realize. How many times have you been in an adrenaline? How many times have you had an adrenaline rush in your life?
Nothing like that, yeah.
I mean,
hardly,
nothing where my life's on the line.
Right, but you've had an adrenaline rush,
yeah,
right?
And of course, like working out or playing basketball when you're down.
Not even that. That's not even an adrenaline rush. It's like, you can't explain it.
I mean, that's the closest I've been to, so I can't relate to anything at that magnitude.
Real quick, would you say like the only time I felt like adrenaline where I'm like a little bit not 100% there is like just before a fight.
Yes.
When things are about to, they're heated up and you feel like, okay, I'm going to have to defend myself.
But then you have a gun and knife in the situation and it's a whole nother level. So how do you even train somebody for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to like, what are you going to put their life in danger every time? You can't do it. You can't.
So I mean,
just to bounce off, we have tools on our belt. You see the taser, the baton, the gun. You know, you see all that stuff, and we're not trained to pull the gun out first. You know, when the bad guy comes up to us and he's got nothing in his hand,
right?
We're either going to use our hand to try to get him, or we got to use a step above. So that's the baton, or a taser, and then we got to de-escalate from there. Try to talk to him. A lot of times, if he's got something in his hand, say he's got a bat, knife, now I can use a taser, but I'd rather use this, my weapon, because I'm not going to get hit in the head or get knocked out for them to take my weapons. So training, we need a lot of it. We can always use it.
Is there always like retraining? Like, is there like after you've been trained and certified to be a cop, is there like an annual retraining where every cop has to go through it, or is it just a one time?
Here's the thing. It depends on the department. Big departments, they don't train often, I guess, maybe because there's a lot of officers and money-wise. Small departments, they train all the time. So it all depends on the politics, the money.
Right.
And it's up to the officer, too. I mean, there's outside organizations that offer training, and it's up to them to want to go and get it.
If they wanted to do that, is that something they have to pay out of their own pocket? Right? So,
correct. Yes.
That's terrible. I mean, as far as budgeting goes, if we're expecting someone to risk their lives, there should be, proper budget too. Because I know like a lot of police departments are understaffed, are working crazy hours, long hours. They don't have the right equipment, because some of these gangs have better weapons than they do. Come out with like a machine gun or something.
But you can blame the media on that.
Yeah. Why?
The police look like military now. They're complaining that they have these vehicles and they have these guns and these vests and these tools that they say it's uncalled for, and in a way, enough complaining that they've done, the media is blowing it up, and they're taking all these things away from us.
Now, with all this going on, and there's the media thinks that it's a little out of hand, but to kind of put the entire situation into context, year to date, according to heyjackass.com, total homicides are up to 554. Total shot and wounded 2,708. Shot and killed 497. So
is that for all of U.S. or?
This is for Chicago only.
Oh, wow.
Chicago. So I feel they should be properly equipped for all these situations, and we'll hear one or two news on the on the news, whatever, one or two stories, and that doesn't give you the complete context ever. And this is the worst time in Chicago, and
it's gone up from last year too, right?
Exactly.
I think we're already way ahead of
what was that
year.
Number shot?
Total shot and killed 497.
What was just shot? Do we have that number?
Total shot 3,205.
Yeah, that's about right.
Shot and wounded
Wow.
is 2,708.
Wow.
So we have so much going on in Chicago itself.
Yeah.
And then if we go back to the training thing, if you raise that limit of training and that we're looking for super, super qualified people, then doesn't that also make our police force or law enforcement force also smaller? And how do we, like you said, they're already understaffed. So that makes it even harder to deal with that problem in a way.
Rahm Emanuel, I think last week or something, they're adding 900 or 1,000 more cops in Chicago. But what I was thinking as I was reading the article is because the backlash that being a cop is getting in the media, a lot of good qualified people won't pursue that career anymore. So you'll just get the very poor quality of people that will apply for it, and then you'll get these crazy people. Hey, that's our dog.
Sorry guys, that's Bella. She's visiting also.
Yeah, she's also joining the podcast.
2 guests.
That was our introduction.
To bounce off of that, yeah, you're right. There are less people want to be the police. It's a great profession. It's a noble profession. Yeah, you get to run and gun, but the most important thing about being a police officer is when those people that are in the community roll down their windows and thank you. Thank you so much. Can you please, we're concerned about our neighborhood. Can you please help us out?
Yeah.
And no one knows about that. I get that all the time. It's the best feeling ever. And that's the whole point of the
Being a
job.
cop, right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't make the news. That's not what we want to hear. We want to see all the negativity in the world. And
so there's the documentary that I was talking to you guys about, policing the police. It was done on this show called Frontline, and it's this guy, a journalist that joins a team. He goes to Newark. I think that's in New Jersey, and he rides with the cops. He does So he does the first night that he sits down with the cops. They're in a really bad neighborhood, and then they get in his car, and what they do is they profile, and then he's asking the cops, how do you profile people? He's like, you just know people that are looking away from you, or people that just, all of a sudden when they see you, they react different, body language. You pick these things up, and as the guy that was sitting in the car, he just noticed it was just too aggressive and too much, where they were just pulling every random person. It felt like there was no rhyme or reason why they were doing it, but I think it was like the 15 or 16 stop where they did stop someone that, because of the racial profiling, they stopped someone that did have a gun, and they took out a gun off the street. And as soon as they approached him, this guy takes off, and they know he has a gun on him. So now there are, that adrenaline that we were talking about, they're rushing down the street, and I think he goes in the alley and he throws his gun away, but they see that, and it was just crazy. Then the journalist is like, you see that it could be bad profiling people, but also there are times where it does.
Well, here's a perfect example. I have friends that are in other agencies, and for example, in Chicago, they tell me, they say, we have backed off like so much. Proactive policing everywhere is
declined, right?
It's declined. I mean, and it's not just declined. It's like 80% of street stops in Chicago have gone down. I read this in the Wall Street Journal. 80% of street stops have gone down. So now what you just talked about, profiling and criminal behavior and criminals telling themselves, believe it or not, with their body language. So now that's slowed down. So now we let the player on the street, continue to be the player on the street. We don't search, and we don't take the gun away. We don't take the drugs away. So now we're doing that twofold.
Right.
And now those guys are getting away. Now they know that. They know the law better than we do. They know that we're backing off of them. They know that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And hence, this is what's happening down in Chicago, and this is what's happening in
all parts of
all
US.
parts of big cities and everywhere in the whole country.
Because no one wants to be that guy on the media.
Right. I don't want to be on YouTube. I don't want to be on Facebook. And here's the most important thing. I still got to support. If I have a family eventually, I still got to support my family. I got to support I want my pension at the end of my career.
Of course.
So people that do, end up being in these cop shootings, whatever, and if they're not justified in the wrongdoing, do they still lose their pension? Or
if you're not justified,
I mean, you go to prison, right? Part of it would
absolutely. We have more power than a judge. We have more power than
because
the president of the United States. Hold on, because we have to make a split-second decision whether or not we're going to take this person in, pull the trigger, kill them or not, take their life or not. So that's a lot of power. A judge and a lawyer can sit on a decision for the days before
they come to a decision.
You know what I mean? So, but we don't. We got to make the decision split second right there, and if it's wrong, the media jumps all over it, and we're the worst person ever.
Just real quick about what we were talking about earlier, that over time, there have been a lot less stops and whatnot, and what they call is depolicing. So I have a quick fact here off of Vice News. Last year compared to this year, it's so ridiculous. So investigatory stops in Chicago by police. Last year, 230,000 stops. This year, 35,000 stops.
Wow. Holy crap.
So it's gotten to a point where, they don't want to be the bad person. They're like, I don't even want to deal with it anymore type of thing,
There's this big picture that I want to kind of tie this into, but there's also, I don't think you have heard it, but Sam Harris's podcast where you and me talked about Z, where he talks to economics. What's his name? Glenn
something.
Glenn Rowley, whatever.
Okay.
Can you while you're on it, can you look up for the people that want to reference to this, like Sam Harris podcast Awakening? Can you see which one episode was that? I think it was like 48 or 47. People that want to listen to it, so I highly recommend it. I think it was a great podcast because it was really eye opening for me. But do you have some of the stats that he mentioned on the?
Yeah, I do. I've got all the stats. But just to go back to one point, I wanted to ask him one thing. Going back to how you were talking about this earlier, when you stop somebody and you're just, your mind is racing. I wonder if this guy has a gun or not, and I'm just wondering, when you pull up and then you're checking the guy out, outside of the gun, now we have the advent of cameras, right? Phone cameras. Now, how does that affect you psychologically? What are you thinking now that, there's a camera phone out there too, and most people now are just recording and putting everything online?
I mean, you got to deal with it. I mean, we're public figures, and they have every right to record whatever they want out on the public, on the public sidewalk or outside. So it's there, but if you're doing the right thing, you're not breaking any laws, why are you worried about it?
Yeah.
That's the last thing on my mind.
The only cops that
I'm on a job.
Yeah. The cops that wouldn't like the body cams are the ones that are doing shady stuff.
And you know what? And cameras, actually, they're helping a lot of police officers. They're believe it or not, that they're there to protect the cops, and it's pretty. I mean, it's awesome.
Like how?
Well, there was a case in I can't remember which state, but well, we could say anywhere. It happens everywhere. A person might lie or say, "Hey, the police officer put his hands on me in an inappropriate way, slammed me down. He did this, he did that." Oh, okay, well, I want to file a complaint. Sure, we'll let you file the complaint. Here, go ahead, sign this. File the complaint. They go back, review the video, and the cop was probably just having words with him. Didn't touch him at all, and now you just filed paperwork and signed it. You made a false police report now against a police officer. Now you're going to jail.
And how long is that term, and is that common?
Yes. I mean, if you're out there doing your job, I would say it's pretty common.
Wow.
But I mean, but there are scenarios
the
where
cameras, people see the cameras on the street,
right,
and they'll freeze. The attitude changes. So it's not like, oh, there's a camera, let me lie.
What's
Right.
like the overall mentality of like all cops? I mean, is there a sense of racism? Are they a lot of racist profiling, like, or is it just because I think
I'm only going to speak for myself, but I will say no, and I don't think so. Everyone, 99% of police officers that I deal with from everywhere are genuinely nice people. You don't wake up in the morning and say,
right,
I'm gonna hurt someone. I'm gonna do this. You don't wake up in the morning and say, I think I'm gonna get killed today. You don't wake up thinking that. There's a possibility that it's there, but most cops are good people. They really are. They want to help, and I see it a lot. They're just genuinely good people.
So I mean, to counter argument of other people, that's on the other side.
It's just one bad apple that ruins it for the rest. Because it's like a priest molests a kid,
right?
And now everybody thinks priests are all molesters.
True,
We're like priests, I mean, it's just one bad guy.
I mean,
and they've been doing it for centuries.
Me personally, I feel that. I mean,
not centuries. That's actually false. They've been doing it for a long time. There's cases from like the 70s, the 60s.
I think it's been. That's an ongoing issue too. I think it's
right.
not just one,
but it's very, very well hidden.
Yeah, and it just looks like violence is on the increase, right? But it's just that we're so connected. We get every single news from around the world, around the nationwide, and we just think violence is rising.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When in fact it's probably been decreasing. If you can look that up, because isn't it like the safest time to ever live is today?
Yeah, I mean, in human history, this is still the best time to live. Yeah. If you had a choice to live in a certain era, you'd be an idiot not to choose this. Because even with all the violence that we have, it's still not. I mean, we have laws and regulations in place to protect everyone. Health is on the rise.
Just don't go to Chicago. 1 or 2 people die a day. I mean, that if you take the numbers and you divide,
but that's still not.
I mean, get shot. 1 person or 2 people get shot a day.
Yeah, but compared to back in the day where we didn't have a medication to protect from diseases and stuff like that, like there was hundreds, if not thousands, of people who were dying a day. So compared to that,
We're talking about violence. He said violence.
No, well, he was saying this is still a good time to live today. I think that's what you were talking about, right?
Okay.
So even with all the stuff that's going on in this world, it's still the best time to live.
I mean, it's obviously it's certain areas. It's not like obviously you go to like parts of like suburbs of Chicago, like Naperville and whatnot. Nothing happens there. It's certain areas of Chicago that are just really bad that have fallen into like almost you can call them ganglands, like the HBO show. Like in Austin, or Englewood. Obviously, those places are going to be a lot different to look at.
Yeah.
Compared to places like Naperville, Schaumburg, things like that. So it's areas, and that's where all the violence is coming from.
And it's a tough thing to crack too. But I think in order to, I was thinking this for the last few days. Like in order to resolve any of this, we have to figure out what the main problem is, right? Until we figure that out, it's still this thing is gonna be ongoing. Civilians won't trust the cops. Cops will, I mean, depending on which neighborhood you're at, your life's on the line, so you have to behave and act a certain way. And the biggest thing to me is, it would be how we, I think drugs, I think is one of the cases, like the fact that everyone, the gangs, the reason they're fighting and doing these stuff on the street is because what are their main sources?
What happened is cops. I'll look that article I read in the Wall Street Journal. Cops are backing off from their. I mean, when back in the day they used to be on you, like they were on you like white on rice, and they didn't have a chance to do anything. Like, you couldn't, you wouldn't dare to, and now it's like a big ball of fire now. It's
right.
You got the drugs, the guns, the gangs. I mean, there's more gangs than anywhere in Chicago. I mean, there's like 30,000 gangs in Chicago or something.
Like that. If we legalize all the drugs and all
30,000 members.
If we legalize all those drugs, then all those gangs go away automatically, right? So what are they going to be fighting for? What turf are they going to fight? I mean, we're saying to legalize something simple.
You want to legalize like heroin and cocaine because that's like the main.
Yeah, so I mean, we can do. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? We already have alcohol that's on the street that people drink and drive. That's like one of the. I think it was like a study done in Princeton and Harvard where they ranked this like the Schedule 1 drug high as a cocaine. There's we don't acknowledge that. We already illegalized one of the worst drugs in the world, and we're saying okay, we can do this drug but not the other.
And why do we criminalize the use of drugs and not the action that you take when you're on that drug? Wouldn't that be a better way to punish?
Right. So if I'm at my home, I should have, this is my conscience, right? Why should the government have the keys to my conscience? If I want to take a substance and do, go and
show me a police officer that's gone into your house while you were anywhere in the country. I mean, you can do the drugs you want. You're free to do them. It's like you said, the action, selling.
Right. So if you legalize them, they wouldn't be doing that, right? So the main issue is gang wars, right? So that's part of the issue, and then poor people is part of the second issue.
I think that's the biggest issue.
No, people are hungry. They don't have opportunities. Like the black people that that we have. Like we can look at Chicago's area, or every major city in the United States had an area after they got segregated, they put them in, in the ghetto, and they never, as a society, we never had enough budget for the schools, for the infrastructures. We didn't give them a fair start to have in life that other neighborhoods do, and because of that, at the end of the day, it comes down to food and water. Once you don't have those opportunities and you got to feed people, you're gonna start selling drugs.
Oh, I agree.
If it's not that, you're gonna sell something else. So like if one is we need to help our together help society grow, and two, I think the drugs, legalizing all of them will probably solve all that shit, if not most of it, because the biggest thing that they're fighting for is to have control in this neighborhood. So, and this is my turf. I make money off selling drugs here, and then people drive up. If you take all that away, what are they going to sell? Well, what are they going to fight for?
I think it sounds easier. It's easier said than done. I mean.
Yeah, because it
really is. Because you just can't say if we legalize drugs, the problem's going to be over.
I'm saying that will solve most of it, right? So
no, I don't think so.
Why not? They're fighting over turfs, right? So if we take the biggest thing that they're fighting over for,
they don't have a product.
It's a lot more than they're just. I mean, people. It's hard. It's tough to get into it because, I mean, when you see the effects of heroin and cocaine on a person, you do not want to make it legal.
I mean, I've seen effects of alcohol, and I don't understand how that's legal then too, right? Like you can have people get drunk off their minds and go off the streets, and like it creates more. It doesn't create a productive society. It creates more depending on like families that have their stats on this too. I guess you can search it, but like alcohol creates more problem in the houses than anything else, And if that's illegal, why can't we just push a notch over? And and regulate it, right? If you are going to take heroin or if you're going to take weed, whatever, you do whatever you want to your conscience. But as soon as you start affecting those around you, that's where, like you said,
right.
Punish those actions where you're taking the substance, now you're going out on the street and causing havoc. Same thing as when you go to a bar and club, which we promote on games and footballs. Go outside and drink and drive. Like they don't promote drinking and driving, but how many people do actually drink and drive?
And the proof is right out there, right? Aren't prison cells filled with people due to nonviolent crimes?
Right.
So
having
we might be policing the wrong things in that regard. So like you said, if we legalize all that, but the problem is there's the whole prison industrial complex as well.
Right.
Which if you saw, I think, was it a Jon Stewart?
Yeah. Where it became a business.
Yeah, where he covered the whole thing. And when you have a prison system that's for profit, that's kind of an issue because there's no reason for you not to put people in prison. You want to put people in prison for even petty fines and small things that are non-criminal.
Right.
The people in prison are essentially your customers.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that door swinging, right? Real quick. I got some facts. This is according to CBS News, and I couldn't find anything more updated but it's from 2013, and this is insane too. So, police officers on patrol in this is Chicago is 11,700. Total gang members 70,000 now. And that's 2013. I'm sure that's swelled up too.
Yeah.
And they also say that heroin is the financial lifeline of gangs. It's how they make their money. It's how they buy their guns. A gang can sell between 400 to 1,000 bags of heroin per day, netting up to $10,000. That's insane. That's crazy business right there. So
you like if someone wants to go like going back to heroin and take it at the comfort of their home without affecting anyone, is that a problem?
I don't think I wouldn't say it's a problem now. But heroin, when you're on it and you don't go to work and you lose your job and you need to get more heroin, you're going to commit more crimes to get it, right?
But I mean, if
there's no win. I don't think there's a win situation making it legal.
I mean, why? I mean, alcohol is legal. No one's committing crimes to get alcohol.
Alcohol is not highly addictive.
It is. It could be addictive to people.
But you're saying each person, heroin is guaranteed straight to the veins. You're going to want more right after you get off. I mean, that's why I asked you. Have you ever seen someone on heroin? You said you've seen him on alcohol. That's like Mickey Mouse and like the devil. That's two different things. Heroin it gets in you, and it's it. The person will not be the same.
I was going to say, is it fair to believe, just going by other laws that are in place, that it's really the health of the population that we're really worried about? Because if we really were, wouldn't weed would be legal, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like that we have lobbyists for everything.
Right. We're coming around with the weed, though, aren't we?
Illinois.
I
mean, baby steps.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, if we take that example, your response is perfect, because if our main concern is overall health concerns of society, then why do we let companies like McDonald's exist? Why do we help promote all these unhealthy other stuff that are killing you slowly and not something that's going to kill you faster?
Sugar is the most addictive thing in the world.
Yeah. Why isn't that legal?
I see what you're saying.
Sugar doesn't turn you into like a maniac. Right. You know what I mean? It turns you into a fat ass. It doesn't turn you into a maniac.
Right. But overall, if we are so worried about the overall well-being of individuals, then there's a lot of things that we look the other way, and there's a lot of things that we don't. Like if this system is not working, then why not try it? That's just my suggestion.
I see what you're saying, and I understand it to a certain degree. Now, right now, what I was thinking is at first was that if even though it's illegal, doesn't mean that they can't get heroin. They're still gonna get it one way or another.
Right.
But then I looked at it. What if it was legal, and they're like selling it at Walgreens? Now it's more people have access to it. That's more lives being ruined. If compared to me, I would never.
It's not like Walgreens will sell. It's something that of a big. It's not like. Walgreens stopped selling cigarettes. So
the cartels make. Billions.
CVS pharmacy.
CVS, sorry, yeah.
Close to $1 trillion. Do you think that these big companies aren't going to want to take advantage of selling heroin?
The fact that they're, like CVS is taking a statement of reducing, not selling cigarettes. So, if a government is going to regulate it, you can just do one specific location where they do sell it. And then you can, have doctors and all that stuff involved where you could be prescription, make it in a way where if someone does want to use it, has a facility or something, instead of spending all the money that we're spending in prisons, we can create a facility. The people that do want to use it, we can take that money that we're wasting there and just create a facility. Anyone that wants to take it, come here. I think that is somewhere in Europe that did it, right? What's that comedian, the guy with the curly hair used to be married?
Russell Wilson?
The guy that was married to Katy Perry.
I forget his name.
Oh, Russell Brand.
Russell Brand.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think he's like a figure speaker of all the, making drugs legal in Europe. And I forgot which country, it was Amsterdam or something like that. But people that do heroin, they created a facility where people come in and they have the help of doctors that give them clean needles, give them clean stuff, and they can just do it and get their thing done, and then they leave. So they created this whole facility. So if someone has a bad time, there are doctors on
this really
standby.
This really exists, like this place.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
We can create these facilities. So if people does want to do heroin, their rule is you can do it, but only in this building. And if people are, and they even go.
I'd like to know how many of those people that do that are involved in that program are still successful and still succeed after.
But that's their life choice. If they're happy at doing whatever they want.
So it's not. It's just like do it, and then whatever happens to you. So you want to create that thing. You want to the world is big, right? So there's dark and goodness in all of those things, right? If one wants to do that, of course, that's the part of that facility is to also help them, give them information, give them knowledge, help them get out of this if they are addicted. But if someone really wants to do it, who am I to say you shouldn't do it?
Right, absolutely. Right. And isn't it just logical that if we're looking to help people, instead of throwing them in prison, we should be rehabilitating them,
right,
and putting them in these centers and getting them on track. And then if they fail after that, that's on them.
Right.
But we shouldn't, the whole idea that somebody's doing drugs and we kind of just throw them in prison or even for a trade.
Right. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Not today.
Doesn't make sense at all.
They have a place that's called Insight, and it's actually in North America, Canada, where they can go and shoot up heroin. Some of the addicts line up 2 or 3 times a day to use one of the 12 injection booths.
So they go and they buy it illegally, and then they go into the booths.
Or I think they
they provide it. So even in Amsterdam, they I think that drug is legal only in that facility. But you need a Medicare type. What's the card that in order to get weed?
It's
whatever that card is called. So it's that type of program where you go first, get a doctor's recommendation, and once you approve for it, then now they have you in the system that you are a user. You can only use it in this facility.
And then if they get sick, now 22-year-old JoJo that wanted to use heroin got sick, and now I'm gonna pay for him to go to the hospital.
We're already paying for.
Okay, hold on, but I'm
paying for the prisons.
Can I finish my thought? I'd like to now I'm gonna pay for JoJo,
right,
to be in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And my grandma's sick, but she needs that hospital bed. But guess what? The hospital's full.
That's like a scenario.
It's kind of one of those things.
But that scenario, it's just made up though.
It's made up. Just like the scenario of making drugs illegal, that's made up.
No, that's not. I'm saying that.
Or heroin, that's made up.
Everything's made up. Stay woke, guys.
I think that
what I'm saying is the amount of money that we're spending in prisons. If we allocate that to these facilities, we should be able to do it in a way. I'm sure, I forgot what the numbers were, but they were staggering amount of money that we're spending on prisons. And the reason we're spending a lot is because the governments have leased them off to third-party people that run it. So they run it.
So messed up.
So we pay these companies to run prisons, and it's all based on quota.
And it's all private.
It's private businesses, running it. So that right there is a failed system.
The average per inmate cost in 2010 was $31,286. The 40 states surveyed by the study spent $39 billion on maintaining their prisons in 2010. That is $5.4 billion more than total reported corrections budgets for that year.
Or would be a cool fact would be how many people in prison are in there because of doing drugs?
It's probably, I think, majority of them are because of drug.
And how many of them are violent crimes?
Okay, so what I see here as of 2015, according to 538.com, according to the Bureau of Prisons, there are 207,847 people incarcerated in federal prisons. Roughly half, 48.6%, are for drug offenses.
That's a lot.
It's a for-profit company now, man.
Oh my God, 50% of people are there. That includes weed, right? They're just like rolling joints.
It's all lumped
federal, if it's federal, I'm gonna guess it's probably like big stuff, moving some weight. But there is, wow.
I don't know, man. I think there's other worse prescription drugs that we have.
Absolutely.
This for me, this doesn't make any sense that I should tell someone not to do whatever they want to their body. If someone wants to, that's totally up to them. At the end of the day, but that's part of the problem for me. I feel like if we legalize that, then these people don't have anything to fight over for. I'm sure they're gonna have to find other sources to get replace that income to get food and water at the end of the day. But part of the problem is that there's a lot of people that, none of us, or at least I don't know, we're not from those unfortunately,
fortunately, you're not from the ghetto. That's what you.
No, I'm trying to say we're trying to have a tough conversation about something that we're not close to.
Experienced yourself.
Yeah, and it kind of gets hard because someone that's listening in that is probably from there, saying like, what the hell do you know? You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to add a quick caveat to my previous fact. So how I said it was 48.6% aren't for drug offenses. So that could also be mixed with other offenses that they have, because a lot of people get booked for multiple charges. But there's a little thing here that says of them, 16% of them have a drug crime as their most serious offense. So that's the number that I would put.
16% of 200-something thousand.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's still a big number. So that could be like weed or that.
Right.
Pretty.
But for me, at the end of the day, I think it should be.
But what is it? 80. So then 80-something% is violent crimes. So
But that's still a lot. But those violent crimes are happening because of drug-related issues too. They're selling the drugs. They're fighting for the turf. So if you take that away, that also is going to reduce. Right?
I think we should make it legal and find out.
That's the
1
only way.
year. It's like
would you be on the same page for that, or?
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and to me it seems really simple. Like I keep saying the same thing, but drugs, what you put in your body is your right.
Yeah.
And if it makes you go crazy and you hurt somebody else, that's when you go to prison. If you disrupt the environment, you go to prison, or that's when you get in trouble. But what you do in your time, or even if you're selling it, and I feel like it's a waste of policing. Because we're not going after what we really should be all the time. We're wasting time on those smaller, pettier crimes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also like, if you look at, I was watching this documentary about Baltimore, and you have all these gangs and you have all these murders happening all the time there, right? Similar to Chicago. And when you're trying to solve these murders, you go to the local neighborhoods and nobody wants to snitch. They don't want to talk. The witnesses don't want to tell you what really happened because they're afraid of getting killed themselves.
Right.
And now Stitches for snitches.
Yeah, and now you have all these murderers, right? They're running free on the streets, and that circle of violence just continues and continues. So, we've touched on it. This is a very complex subject. There's no one or two things like just legalizing drugs,
right?
But it is part of it.
Yeah,
we need to take multiple steps to get to that point.
But that goes to the petty crimes. Arresting someone for petty crimes, it starts with the petty crimes. You got to get them for those small offenses, and then that's how you stop the big offenses. And that's that whole That's why in Chicago they're having their problem. The cops are getting fetal. They're not stopping those guys for the petty offenses anymore, and the proof is in the pudding with the numbers that my friend here just read off. And it's unprecedented. It's never happened before.
Now, is that moving nationwide, or is that just, were we looking at Chicago?
I've only been looking at Chicago, but the jail one, though, I don't know.
Chicago is probably a good place to base it off because we have probably the worst.
I do agree with Rizzo's idea of we should do, kind of like The Purge. I don't know if you guys seen that movie where everything is legal. You can go and kill people. You can go and do whatever drugs. Yeah. It's just like we should do it one night. Just go ahead and.
No, what is that going to solve?
All you can eat crack.
Make sure you do your push-ups and your jumping jacks before you go out there.
But
I wanted to, if we're done with this subject, I wanted to kind of go back to how we were talking about racial profiling before.
Sure.
And what its benefits are. There's a lot of studies that show that we've actually evolved as humans. Our brains have evolved to see patterns, right? So when you have like statistics like this one right here, now like you said before, whenever we talk about these things, it's a sensitive topic, right?
Right.
We have to be careful and we have to be politically correct. But this whole podcast is kind of about not having to worry about that and just kind of speaking freely. And like you said, there's going to be people sitting there thinking like, what do you guys know? And none of us here are black, right? And when we get into these subjects, a majority of those crimes get into African Americans.
Right.
So I just want to say that before I get into some of these stats, I understand their viewpoint, but we still have to kind of look at some of the numbers just to see what we can build on.
It's okay, man. Unleash yourself. It's fun.
Because the only way to really look at it is through numbers sometimes, right? Because once you have to take that identity politics away from it and look at the facts for what they are.
Well, here's some facts. Most cops are white.
Right.
And most cops work in black neighborhoods.
Right.
So they're pulling over black people. Does that make them racist? The community?
Not at all. No.
And that's what the media is looking into. They're getting the numbers. Well, oh my God, this cop is white and he pulled over 100 black people in 1 week. He's a racist.
Right.
Well, no, he works in a black neighborhood, and that's just the numbers. Those are what.
Yeah. The bigger problem is, why do we only have black neighborhoods? It should be a culture where it's just mixed. Like
Absolutely.
we create sometimes our own. I think there were segregations in the past, but I think we need to move past that. I think the bigger issue is there is only black neighborhoods. There's only Chinese neighborhoods. We should be all interconnected, and we shouldn't be moving into a neighborhood based on the color of someone's skin or religion or culture.
Right.
That's just how it's based.
That separates us more than connecting us.
That's a whole nother thing, because people like being on teams. And that's why you have these neighborhoods.
Yeah, you come from China and you don't know how to speak. You don't know how to speak English. You move to the Chinese neighborhood.
Right.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, and then I think what he's about to tie it to, like about our genetics and stuff like that, will help paint that picture a little bit better.
And actually, just to go back to some statistics that you were saying, so blacks make up 6% of the population, but they commit 50% of the murders, and they are 40% of the people murdered. Right, 40% of the people in the U.S. that are murdered are black, but then 50% of the people that are committing the murders are also black. So it's not white people or white cops killing black people, but black people killing black people.
Right.
Majority of the time. And that's like a huge statistic. When you look at that, and we can't talk about that, right?
Yeah.
You don't hear that in the media because it's not politically correct. But then how do you build?
Well, I wouldn't say it's not that it's not politically correct. It's being said all over the media, but it's more so it's not.
Is it though? You
guys got to watch.
Really? Like which media?
Fox, MSNBC, CNN.
That's why I stopped watching Fox.
Yeah, well, Fox will definitely have that stat.
Get on it though. You guys got to. You got to catch a little bit of everything, and it's not an attention getter. You don't care about the black guy killing the black guy. You care about the white cop killing the black guy. And
what gives you more of an emotional response is what ends up on the news. Unfortunately.
And no one the due process for police officers or for anybody it's not there anymore. That's why they're quick. Look how quickly they charged that woman in Tulsa. I mean, right away.
That was insane.
You don't give her now. What do you now? The setup now is bad. Now she did what she did. She gets charged right away.
Hold on. Do you guys know about that situation? It just happened a few days ago.
I don't.
Can you tell them?
Female police officer. I just saw the video.
No, I just remembered.
There's a guy, I guess his car was stranded.
So someone called, I think he parked, was it a highway or was it like a major road? It was a busy road, and he stalled his car in the middle of the road. I think someone called saying, oh, there's, a black man, and he's saying his car is going to explode or something like that. So they already set like the alarm, and the cops are responding to this. Like, not that he's, black, but there is someone there that saying some car is going to explode or something. They don't know what the hell is going on. And as soon as they responded, I think the first cop was that lady or something. There was 3 cops that pulled over, and when they get to the guy, he puts his hands up and he's just walking away from them, and they're telling him to stop.
Yeah, why? No, that's what we say by complying. If you just listen and you do what you got to do. I'm not saying I don't know what the investigation is going to bring up, but I don't know. I'm not going to say she was wrong or right, but like you said, walking away.
Yeah, he had his hands up and he's walking away, and they keep telling him to stop, stop. And he's walking to his car, and he reaches inside his window, and that's when the cop pulls the trigger. Because you don't know. I mean, if he's not listening to you, and each day, if you are, I don't know, is that neighborhood bad in general, or?
I don't know. You know what? I'm not sure.
But was there a gun found in the car?
No, there was no gun found in the car or on him. But at that situation,
we don't know yet.
Yeah, why are you not following the directions of the cop? He has a gun on him. Why are you even taking the chance of being stupid and putting your hand in there? I don't. Yeah, that's not the right way to act.
So he was like probably 5-6 feet away from his car when they got there. So he has his hands up and he has his back towards the cops, and he's walking away from them, and all of a sudden he puts his hand in the car. As a cop, what do you do? I guess it's scary.
Take the chance. And, let me see if he pulls out a gun or not.
Yeah, because at that point, like the exercise that we talked about, one, you're already shaking, right? You already have all these thoughts. You're zoned out. Like you're just scared for your life. You have no idea what's about to. I think that cop, she might have pulled the trigger on,
accidental.
Yeah,
could be. But the due process, they came out and charged her right away. What does that say now? Now it doesn't even give her a chance in court. Now
is that because they don't want more riots, things like that, and they're just
So she's going to jail automatically?
No. She just got charged. She wasn't convicted yet, but we don't know if she is going to be. But she was charged. I think it was manslaughter, I believe.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you don't even do that. You gotta wait until you get all the facts and have the evidence stacked up.
I see what you're saying. So they didn't even look at all the scenarios, and they just
the due process wasn't done yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guy should not have been walking away. I mean, once
right, but that's still no reason to get killed. I mean, you can't mess. You can't. Someone's got a gun. I'm going to listen to him.
Right.
But still, it's sad that he passed away or he got shot and got killed. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But we'll find out in the coming weeks or in the months what happened.
I think Sam Harris says it very well. Like when the cops pull you over, there's automatically a gun on the table. Why be an idiot? Why try to resist? Why try to argue with them or escalate the situation, because they have no idea who you are. There could be a call in saying, there's a so and so person, and he's had it. He looks, or it could be a has a gun on him. He just robbed a bank, and you can meet that profile. Your car could meet that profile, and that's why they're pulling you over. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you respond in a way where they're already on alert that someone has a gun, robbed a bank, for them is their life comes first. And
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, we'll get a call, and a person with a gun wearing a white shirt, black pants, or whatever it may be. What do we get? A person with a knife, person acting, whatever the call. Yeah. All we know is what they told us from that call. Person with a gun, person with a knife.
Right.
Wearing this. That's all we know. Right. So now you see a guy in the area wearing black pants and a white shirt. You're going to stop him, but you're not going to stop him like, hey, you're going to tactically
approach him.
Right.
Because you got to be.
Let me see your hands. Yeah. And no one understands that. We go in, everybody loves the fire department, right? You guys, I love firefighters. They're cool dudes, but everybody loves them.
Yeah, every time they pull over,
right, the girls are throwing their panties at them, and kids are shaking their hands. They love them.
Right.
Like, everybody hates the police. No one likes the police, but the
one's getting worse now is like, because this situation, with Black Lives Matters in the media, and it's blowing this, image of cops out of proportion. Right. Now when a cop approaches that guy, that's wearing a white shirt and black pants, and he kind of is getting his gun ready, and let's say that guy is innocent, right? And his response can be, "Oh, look, this is what you guys are doing. This is what we're tired of.
It's creating non-compliance.
Now it's just gonna escalate the situation even more, where the cop won't be able to tell if this guy is the guy we're looking for, or if this guy,
Yeah, and my point before that was, a firefighter goes into a job knowing what he gets the call. Hey, there's a fire here on the 3rd floor. It's in this area. Here's this. Here's that. You got all this information stacked for you. So now you're going to beat that fire, right?
Yeah.
You got all this info. There's chemical inside. It's a house. There's 4 people.
Right.
Here's the setup of the house. Cop gets the call. He's probably on his 7th hour of the job, really tired. Hey, guy with a knife right here. But that's all you know.
Right.
You don't have any information to help you.
Right. So you gotta
So when we meet up with a person, it's automatic anger.
Yeah, because they're already pissed off of what they're building off the media.
We see people on their worst day.
Yeah,
and and the media is not helping.
And for some reason, it seems like the standards for cops it's supposed to be so high. Like, you guys are supposed to know jujitsu, be able to shoot the kneecap. When a guy's coming at you with a knife, you're supposed to have like X-ray vision so you can see through things and not hope for the worst. So, I mean, that's people expect way too much. We got to remember, cops are ordinary human beings. They're just like us. They're not superheroes.
Right.
We're making them up to be like superhumans, and that we expect too much.
Robots.
Robots. Like, they're not humans.
Everyone's Superman.
Are there good initiatives in play where police departments all over the world are trying to de-escalate this situation, or is it just, hey, let's just back off? Like,
so, suburb departments, we get a lot of great training. We are so far ahead of the game,
right,
when it comes to the big cities, as far as training. As far as experience, probably not. Chicago police officer will probably see more in 1 year than a suburb guy sees in 5 years.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true.
And part of that is I read in an article, it was a Tribune, I think, CPD, they got this new training where it's called de-escalation training. Shoot or don't shoot. And there's a video on it. I'd recommend you guys watch it real quick. It's pretty cool. Where they're going now, where their department is going. It seems like it's for the better.
That's awesome.
So it's the cameras, great.
Yeah.
The training, awesome. Now you just got to pay them more money.
And talking about, when you mentioned the word video, can we kind of talk about that one video that you just kind of showed where that one guy with the knife is going around, and there's like 5 cops in the video and none of them can shoot him, like,
right,
just to kind of show reality of what you guys kind of,
yeah. This guy, I don't know what part of the country it was. He was in Panama, but he had a regular kitchen knife, a cutting knife, and you have 5 police officers surrounding him, and they have their high-powered rifles. And, they're kind of trying to de-escalate the situation. Kind of the same training that we're getting.
Right.
Talk to him, calm him down, and all of a sudden he snaps and he attacks one officer and stabs him several times. And you can actually see on the video him taking his last breath, runs to the next officer and stabs him. The next officer falls and he gets stabbed, and then the other one. It just shows you how quickly.
Yeah. And as I'm listening to this again, and I'm just thinking, why didn't other guys just shoot him? And then that goes back to, they all were just kind of rattled,
trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
You're in survival mode.
Adrenaline was probably peaking.
Yeah, because they're just, you kind of see their reaction in the video. They don't know what the hell just happened. Like,
yeah. One of the main things when you get an adrenaline rush is tunnel vision.
Sorry, it's raining. We look out and keep banging my headphones.
Tunnel vision.
It's tunnel vision, and what happens is it starts closing off, so you lose your peripheral vision, and you see about 5 feet in front of you, and maybe it's very narrow. So if you have someone screaming at you, stop shooting, stop, or anything. He's downstairs. There's someone behind you. You do not hear it or see it because you're so in the zone.
That's so great. I think by you mentioning that, just kind of breaking, how we always start to understand how the brain works. Why would a brain would want to? What is the advantage of doing the tunnel vision for the brain? And I think it's for survival, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think as evolving, the predator and prey stuff, like, you have to kind of be just focused on one task, and that's surviving. None of this outside matters anymore. So sometimes, like you said, someone saying, hey, look out on your right or look on your left, that goes out the window because your main task, if in large, is right here in front of you, and that's all your brain has to need to focus on. So it kind of just washes out all the other stuff around
Right.
you.
And then to reference back to the training thing that we talked about earlier. So if your biology is kicking into survival mode, so you can't like beat biology and, train for something that's outside of the realms of the human brain, right?
That's the best. That's an awesome way to put it.
Yeah.
You can't beat your biology because it just resolves back to surviving, and then your brain takes over. Kind of goes back to our free will topic too.
Yeah, maybe with gene editing in the far future, we'll be able to gene edit train law enforcement. But at the moment, it seems like you gotta you're in the realm of biology and you're trapped in there, and you gotta do the best you can.
Yeah, damn, that's a cool way to put it.
We are all humans,
and it's not every day you're going out running and gunning. I mean, there's like so many slow days on the job, and then all of a sudden it gets popping.
Yeah.
But it's not like every day you see what I just, that video I showed you. Every day is not like that. I mean, never, maybe I asked a few police officers in around that I talked to, I said, hey, before I got on the job, I said, hey, you ever use your gun? You ever pull out your gun or anything? And all of them said, never. So it's not often. But the media is making it seem like it's happening every week.
Yeah, they're just running around gunning down people.
Right.
But yeah, because I guess they're only showing another thing. I don't know if you were able to pull out from like the Sam Harris and Glenn Rowley's podcast, because Sam Harris mentions where out of the 1,000 police shootings that happened last year, I don't know if this fact is correct. Maybe you might know, like more than half were white people.
Yeah.
If that's true,
right.
that's just a game changer in a sense that it's not racism.
It's an FBI stat. Yeah, it's something like 200 and something were white and maybe 100 and something were black.
Yeah, so of all those police shootings that took place, not all of them. It's not like majority of them were all black. It was a mixture, if not more of them were white. Were you?
I don't have the complete statistic, but I do know that it was similar to what you're saying. That they were kind of concluding that when you have that stat, you can't really blame racism at all. That just goes out the window.
Right.
But I don't know what they went into detail, because it's been a while since I heard that one. I wish I listened to it again.
Yeah. So like, I think the main thing was you have to look at where the crimes are happening, and they're unfortunately in poor neighborhoods. And why are they doing it? Because they're selling drugs. And then you have these gang wars. So the likelihood of cops killing would be on the rise in poor neighborhoods versus suburban neighborhoods, because you don't have those situations happening, right? So each day, like, if someone can Google like Policing the Police documentaries free on Frontline, it's cool to just kind of show you a glimpse of what cops face in a really bad neighborhood. It just like minute after minute, you're always getting a call. Someone has this, someone did this, someone did that, and you're trying to figure out. You're always constantly trying to racial profile people in a way just to help protect the community in a way, right? Otherwise, how else are you going to do it? It's just it's a lose-lose situation sometimes. Sometimes a win-lose, or
Yeah, it's tough.
And racial profiling, it's very important actually. If there's a research that I was reading about the brain, actually, I'm gonna read right off it because it's really interesting. It's basically a study done by a psychologist, Jonathan Freeman from New York University. And it gets into the idea that the brain is making subliminal, like almost millisecond judgments of people based on their faces, right? And the strange thing is that even if you don't see the face of the person, like I consciously did not look at you,
right?
Like I didn't actually focus on your face, but I just saw it for a millisecond and I don't even know it. But the brain has gone ahead and made the judgment of whether that person is a friend or foe, depending on their features. And the reason why it does that is because it's found in the amygdala. It's a small region in the brain that's associated with strong emotions, and it kind of tells us whether we want to fight whether we want to fight in that situation, or do we feel safe.
Right.
And the idea behind this whole thing is that it's been in our brain for over 100,000 years now, and that is developed. And the fact that it's so important to our survival at some point, that because if it wasn't, it would have been devolved out of our brain.
Right.
But it's still there. So it's helped us survive. We wouldn't be here if we couldn't recognize patterns, profile, and make judgments in the physical world.
Because sometimes when you look at a predator that's coming towards you, you kind of does he meet the description of, you know, does he look similar to a lion or something that would killed your you know your whatever, your someone in your group. So like whatever animal matches that profile, you should be already on high alert that is this thing gonna attack me. You know, if something comes in 4 legs, yeah, it kind of looks like a lion, but it's a horse and doesn't have sharp teeth. Maybe you know, so you kind of profile those things to see how you need to be alert at all times.
Right. And actually, in most of human history, it's been violence from other humans that have killed each other rather than animals. So it's actually more important
That's
to be
true, yeah. I'm not even factoring that in.
Yeah, so it's important to make judgments on people that you see. And it's kind of hard to get out of that when it's in your mind. How do you unjudge someone when your physiology in the brain is forcing you to do that?
Everyone does it. It's, you know.
Even though we say, well, we shouldn't judge. I'm not the one to judge, but we, in our back of our mind, are always doing it, right?
I just don't judge that hard.
That what?
That hard.
Do you know what that teardrop means? Like, does that really mean like you
usually somebody the game bangers
died.
Somebody that died.
It's either you killed someone or someone in your gang died. Yeah. You can have it either one or
it's a jail and like a street gang thing.
Oh, I thought because that would definitely make me prejudge. Like if I saw, because I saw someone with 2 of them and I was like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna
their homie probably died.
Slowly walk away.
Hey, but the idea is that you don't get to choose whether you're gonna judge or not. Your brain's gonna do it regardless of you.
Oh yeah, well I agree with that.
You're just not say it out loud because
you're gonna pretend that
you don't want to be called
someone
out.
yeah.
But it feels good when you do call them out sometimes.
It does.
Yeah. Hey, what's that tattoo mean?
Oh yeah. No, I'm just seeing of like the very left.
Now you got it off your chest. Now you're good. You can walk away. I'm never going near that guy again.
I do feel better.
Hello, sir. What does that mean?
Oh, you killed someone. Okay.
Oh,
nice talking to you. Bye.
Good stats.
Good stat. I like the stats on your face.
Another thing,
we should get him to fact check for us.
Damn it, he took my job.
Another part that I wanted to say was like the problem of, you know, is within those communities where, you know, how you were saying they don't want to rat on other people, like when cops approach them asking for clues or leads, and no one wants to help the cops, so it just makes their job a lot difficult.
Well, it's the whole hip hop thing where, you know, what is it, stitches or something?
Snitches get stitches.
There we go. So it's that whole
snitches
thing.
are bitches or something like that.
Right.
No, it's definitely snitches get stitches.
Right.
Snitches get bitches? What?
No, stitches are bitches.
That one works too.
You see a guy in uniform talking to you, you know, you're like, get away from me fast because they're going to get me for talking to you.
Right.
So that's just like, I guess that's culture.
Yeah. Another
but isn't that a big problem though?
It's a huge problem.
Yeah. Now you've got all these murderers walking freely and they know there's no consequence, so that just keeps going around. It's a circle of violence.
Right. Listen to this story. So my brother was dropping off his girlfriend. He's walking out of his house. And he's like, hey, I'm walking out of my house and I'm parked in the corner. And all of a sudden he hears 8 gunshots, just loud. And he ducks down and he crawls over to the corner and he sees this guy finishing off a clip into a car. So that car takes off, and my brother runs around, opens the door, grabs his girlfriend, says, "We got to get out of here." So they go and they hide behind a tree by my brother's porch or something. I think because my mom lives next door. So he's in. I don't know where they hid, but they hid behind a tree, and they see this car drive by, and then they hear a bang, and then they see 3 other cars chasing them, and my brother's like, "What the hell? Those are the guys that shot that car." So we ran to the corner. He took a look, and he saw he saw one car specifically. It was like a silver car or something like that. And he's like, it parked. It just parked. The other cars left, the truck and the other car left, and this one parked, and it stayed there. Anyway, the police came, and that guy ended up being dead. He got shot, I don't know how many times. But my brother says he went to go drop his girlfriend off. He came back, and that damn silver car was still parked there. He's like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, did that car just not? It just stayed there.
Well,
that's the audacity that these guys have now.
They don't even want
I mean, who knows? I don't know if he did or not. I don't know. But I mean, my brother says he saw that same car and the same 2 guys.
Damn.
And it's like now they are not afraid to just do it out in the open, and it's not. They don't have to run.
That's scary.
Wow.
So it's.
But there's a lot of things that I read, or like, you know how the problem is, like, the people don't want to help the cops, but part of what I've seen or heard stories that cops also help other cops too. Like when something does go wrong, you know, like they have so much power that they're able to change the narrative of the story to just to kind of.
Yeah, and it's simple. Cops get fired for that.
Right, but a lot of them don't, though, right?
You're absolutely wrong. A lot of them all of them get fired.
Okay.
Because there's body cams now. You can't lie.
Well, not even that.
In the
If
past,
if it comes out where you lied on a report,
right,
automatic gone. Like you're gone. Now that's if it comes out.
But what about in the past? I think that's good if that's now, but I think there was a culture in time that was created this problem too, right?
Protection. It was a brotherhood.
Yeah, because like if in the scenarios where there's in poor neighborhoods, there's a lot of like females that will complain, "Oh, a cop did mishandle me, touch me, or grope me," and then it's your word against them, so they don't even bother. Because I have some friends that where him got pulled over. He was with his girlfriend and another buddy and they were from the Humboldt Park neighborhood, and I just have these bad stories of how these cops were just like they groped his girlfriend right in front of him, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?"
Really?
So, yeah. So there are those scenarios that kind of make.
Did they search him?
Huh?
Did they
searched all of them, but they were showing there are bad cops in the field too.
Technically a cop, if you can justify patting a woman down, you can do it.
Yeah, but it was done in a sexual way, like in front.
How do you know it was done?
Because he was making it known that he was doing it.
Oh wow, that's bad.
And she was calling him like, "Hey, don't touch me." If you want to call it, and then he escalated. He's like, "There's nothing you guys can do," and he was being an asshole to.
But that's like I said, different views of a camera. There's different views of a person too. I'm not defending that cop. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Right.
But I'm not saying it also happened. So.
But I'm saying like part of that culture also kind of build up to this because that the trust that people lost in the way for the cops is because of these things too, and I think we should acknowledge that those things do exist as well. I think people sometimes do understand how much power they have and they do abuse it because if we're hiring just anybody, then we're also hiring people their brains are kind of fried and with the power that they have in their hand, and sometimes they do go out of the way to abuse these things.
Yeah,
and that does exist.
It ran rampant, I think, in the early years, like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s,
right,
where cops were doing things. I mean, all over the place, and yeah, they were taking advantage of their power.
I mean, you said like we had 11,000 cops as of 2013, and there's no way in hell I'm going to take a number and say, oh, all these guys work by the books by 100%. There are a portion of those that are evil, if not corrupt, if not. There has to be a percentage of those too, because
I'll tell you something. I've never seen them.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they don't exist.
No, you're right.
If you're going to tell me that all 100% of them work by the book, I'm not going to believe that.
That's impossible.
That's
you give anybody power in anything, you got to expect a little bit of corruption. But it's not about acknowledging that there are bad cops. I think it's more about acknowledging there are good and bad humans overall.
Right. So
you're going to have bad in everything.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make is
with the cameras now, you have to be by the book.
Right. So the point I'm trying to make is the same idea that we expect from communities to, speak up and don't be afraid about, cops should also speak up amongst other cops. That culture that is there to protect one another is also wrong. Because in order, you got to root out the bad cops too. Because if you are in a patrol and you're seeing someone doing something incorrect, then those people, because that same documentary that I was mentioning, Policing the Police, it just happens to be like as they were following this, night shift of police officers around, one of the people that they met in the thing a month later after they were done recording, turns out someone filed a case against him because he, in order for a girl to escape that situation or not arrest her, he was asking for a blowjob. Oh, wow. And so if he's been doing that, it's probably not his first time he's done that either. So he's probably been doing stupid stuff like that for a while in order to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in order to make, build trust back into the cops also have to tell about other cops that don't deserve to be in the line of work.
Would you ever, rat out your mom or dad?
Probably not. I wouldn't.
Never. What do you mean?
No. My mom can go and kill somebody tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not. I've seen it. I'm not gonna. I'm
gonna think about it too. That's crazy.
I mean, if you do, then what kind of person are you? Gonna rat your mother out? I mean, that's
a really extreme scenario.
No, he's right. Naturally, like if one of my brothers did anything, my mom or my dad, in your example, I wouldn't.
I mean, if they kill someone, like I think that's something to think about. I think
definitely.
I'm not thinking about
something to think about. Yeah,
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I'll think about it quickly. No.
What if it was done for the wrong reason?
It was done for any reason. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, Mom, here's the police. I told them that you killed this guy.
I love my mama, man.
Right? No way. Hey, you know what? Let the justice system work itself out how it works out on the other guys.
Interesting.
I think you got to trust the system because you can take singular events out of any profession, from teachers, from priests, like we already discussed, and just like cops, they're human, so you can take a singular moment out and just generalize it.
Yeah, but if someone's abusing the power, you're saying we should just look the other way and let him do his thing? Of course not. So then we should tell him, say, hey.
Here's the thing. Right? Very quick. I'm sorry, I don't like interrupting people, but here's the thing. You and I worked together in a car for 8 hours.
Right.
I got your back.
Right.
And you got my back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see somebody with a knife or a gun that's going to attack me or kill me, I hope you save my life. Right? My life is in your hands and your life's in my hands.
Right.
Now you go and you turn your back on me and rat me out. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you go and you rat me out,
right,
and I go and I say, hey, guys, Muhammad just ratted me out. Man, he just went to whoever.
Right.
I'm getting fired.
Right.
You're going to have, in New York, for example, 20,000 cops. Not all of them, but the majority of them that are going to say, fuck that guy.
Yeah. But that's a culture that's wrong. That's why I want to talk about that because I don't think that's right. Because if there is,
so is it?
Let's say if you are my partner and you're the guy that's asking the girls to give him a blowjob, and should I just look the other way and say, okay, this is the thing that I signed up for?
No, I think the majority the majority of people, not just police officers, the majority of people would say, what the fuck is your problem?
Right.
You're gonna do that shit. Do it on your own. Don't do it near me. Don't get me in trouble. Don't drag me in anything.
Right.
You're gonna get fired.
Right.
And then you're going to go to whoever you're going to go to and say, don't put me with this guy again.
Right.
Because you're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between doing that and running to the boss and saying, listen, this guy just did this. And now you just got him fired.
If you are trying to protect citizens and you see a fellow cop that's doing this, how are you protecting the citizen? You're protecting the system more than the citizen in that scenario. So as a job,
it's a double-edged sword. I mean, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and the backfire, the backlash that you will get from your fellow cops is the same backlash the people will get amongst their community when they.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to emphasize. That system, both of these things need to change, and once they do, I think we'll progress.
I don't think it's going to because you cannot change humans. Like if somebody wants to do bad, they're going to do bad. The only thing you can control is yourself, and say. And minus yourself out of the equation. Hey, that guy, I'm never going to work with him again.
Right, but then he's in. But as for me, like I'm different, I guess. Like,
right.
For me, like I know. For me,
you're not gonna have a lot of friends if you're gonna go and rat everybody.
Yeah, but that's the culture that's wrong.
You'll probably end up
that culture right there is messed up.
Yeah, I know, but you'll probably end up dead because you're gonna go on that radio and say, "I need help," and they're gonna say, fuck this guy. We're going to take our time.
The thing is, it's not about what's right and what's wrong. It's about how people and human nature just is. If you're with, let's say you've been with the same guy for like 3 years, he's like your brother now.
Right.
Like,
brother.
Yeah, like you become so close. You're going to do everything to make sure he's good. You know what I mean?
So that scenario, I'm going to look the other way.
So I'm saying, like,
Muhammad, we're not telling you to look the other way, brother. We're telling you.
Hold his hands.
Telling you to record.
Right. No, we're telling you, correct it. Be a man, stand up and say, listen, it's wrong, and I don't stand for it. You're my brother, I don't stand for it.
Right.
And if he loves you enough to say, listen, you're my brother too, and I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
There you go.
You know, it's just, that's human nature. But to say that I'm going to turn my back and
so what's a scenario where both cops are like that?
Oh, then have fun.
I mean, the whole idea is having enough good and qualified people in the force, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And when you have a few incidents, you got to expect a few incidents like that.
Right.
Where you have crooked cops, of course. You can't have a utopia.
Right.
But I don't think it's as big. Is it as big a problem as we think it is? Because I just feel like the media blows everything up.
Good choice of words.
Yeah. No, I know.
What scenario are you talking about right now?
Just like the scenario of a crooked cop and you have one good cop and he looks the other way. How often is that happening? Are we trying to say that it's happening all the time, or is it a very isolated incident that happens every now and then?
I know there's been cultures where like cops in the past have always kind of gotten away with things because we can't deny that either. Like, you know, like, I don't know, like I feel like we
want a utopia, but that's not possible.
There is no such thing as utopia.
Just set up the system the best as possible.
But I agree with you. We got to still keep trying. We got to work towards it somehow. And I think the answer is gene editing.
Gene editing.
Yeah.
Can you still gene edit? Sorry.
It is human nature. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, there's going to be crooked in everything, just like you were saying. And there's just some people that are not wired the same, man. I swear. Like, you can go and, for example, go and talk to like 10 random people. There's always going to be like, and you tell them jokes, you go like that. There's going to be some people that just they respond off. Like they're just weird and they're just wired in a way that they'll do things that are more quote unquote crooked, but to them and relative to their scenario, they think it's cool, man. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And with any good system, you add checks and balances. Like we added the cameras on all the cops. So you slowly add these systems on, and then it just makes the system better and better, and it lessens the chance of a cop doing the wrong thing.
Going back to when you were saying, what if there's two cops that are both crooked? Well, then there should be someone above them, like a superintendent, that kind of keeps an eye on all of his people, his units.
They got agencies for that. Yeah. I wanted to ask a cool question. Police officers have a lot of discretion. If we feel we want to do it, we'll do it. If we don't, we don't have to. Say you pull over a woman and she got 4 kids in the back, and she's going to work every day.
Yeah,
she's struggling to get these kids to and from school, and she can afford insurance on her car. Just say, she forgets her license on her table. You say, "Can I see your license?" "I forgot it on my table." "Do you have any insurance on your car?" "No, I can't afford it." Back in the day, a year before the cameras, you used to be able to
let them go.
Say, "Listen, I'll follow you home. Where do you live? I want to make sure you get there safe. See you later."
Right.
Now, get out of the car, put your hands behind your back. Your car's going to get impounded for $3,000, probably. You're going to jail. You're going to get these tickets. And now who's the asshole? The guy that's doing the right thing by the book.
Right.
So.
Wow. Good scenario.
I mean, that's another thing no one understands. We make a lot of decisions, and a lot of times it's, oh man, I feel bad for this woman.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let her go. But so now you can't.
If you don't, then what's what?
If you don't,
let's say since you have a body cam, if you were to follow her home and still make sure everything was done correctly, like you still will be penalized.
Then your car gets impounded.
No, like what happens to the cops? Like you get
written up. You get in trouble. Say she hits somebody. You just let this woman drive a car without insurance. What is wrong with you? You're supposed to uphold the law.
Yeah.
Like, they think that we have the answers to everything. We don't. We want to help people.
Right.
You know, I pulled a lady over. She was, a little intoxicated, but she was like 2 blocks from her house.
Right.
I'm like, damn, I want to help her out.
Right.
So I called for a female officer. They're like, here, come here. They gave her a ride home. I drove her car home. That's it. Done, over with.
Right.
Or should I have this lady that went out for a good night, stressful, who knows? I don't know what's going on in her life.
Yeah.
Should I get her for that $10,000? I mean, I'm not going to get her for $10,000, but it's going to cost her $10,000 to get a lawyer, go to court fees.
That whole system.
Car impounded. I mean, cops, they used to have that decision to where.
So now it's pretty much.
Now it's screw you. You wanted this.
Yeah.
Camera.
Right. So
now
the discretion kind of goes out the window.
Now we're going to have more asshole cops than ever.
Real quick question before.
But is it really asshole if you're doing your job? Like, but people will perceive that, right?
Yeah, it's perception.
Yeah, you want to do that. You think back and you would be like, man, you know what? I don't know her situation. You want to be human, right?
No,
now we're not human. Now we're robots.
They're turning you to robots, 100%. One question that I had, and I always wanted to ask, I always heard that there's like a quota that the department, like a team, has to make a certain amount of money, so that's why they pull people over and yada yada. There's not that, right?
No.
Good. What
about the Ferguson thing? Didn't they have some sort of quotas, like where they had to?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know the department. I don't think they. I want to say no, but maybe their bosses wanted activity or something. I'm not sure, but I really can't answer that one about Ferguson.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good to know that, at least in certain communities. But there
That
has
should be
been.
nationwide, though, for real.
Huh?
That should be nationwide. Like, this shouldn't be like, okay, guys, we didn't write up anyone any tickets, but what if everyone's driving perfectly, you know?
Yeah.
Or not doing anything.
But what sucks is that whole the funding for cops. Sometimes that kind of comes in place with other neighborhoods that don't have enough monies. I think they do resort to maybe I don't know, giving tickets so they can get certain income to pay for just to run that operation that they have, right? Because certain smaller cities don't have the luxury of bigger cities like New York, Chicago, or because we collect more. Yeah, we collect more taxes, so then smaller communities will get hit with those things, and maybe those areas are the areas where they do quotas, if you will, if there is such a thing. But maybe you can see if you can pull something up.
What did you want to pull up? I was looking at something else.
Go ahead. The quota, has there been such a thing? But yeah. Well, you got any more stats?
No, I mean, these stats, I mean, before we finish, I did want to bring up the whole prison system because it kind of ties in with the whole thing and with the whole prison industrial complex. There's some crazy stats that go in with that. I mean, make of it what you will, but the fact that we have more black people in prison today than were enslaved during slavery.
Oh, my God.
And so the U.S. makes up 5% of the world's population, right?
Yeah.
And it's got 25% of the world's prisoners. Think about that.
That's insane.
Wow. That's like what, fivefold? Yeah, fivefold more. So there's this company that does all the healthcare for prisons. And I think it raked in. I wonder if I can find the actual stat on how much they made.
While you look for that, do you mind? I'm just going to go over that ticket quota question that we had. But so just like you were saying, there isn't a quota per se, but they do have quote unquote productivity goals.
Productivity goals.
Yeah.
Justify your existence for being on that 8-hour shift.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. More people you pull over, the more presence you show.
Right.
More people see your lights on. Oh, look, the police are out. Good.
Right.
So it's like a psychological thing too.
So every time you pull over someone, even if you don't give a ticket, do you have to do an automatic report?
Mm-hmm. There's little reports and things you have to fill out.
I heard now that there's just so much paperwork for everything that sometimes there'll be something, and a lot of cops are just like they'll shy away from it because there's so much.
Yeah, and that's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, paperwork actually helps us. It makes you better. I mean, it's there to cover your ass.
Right, of course.
So if that guy, I don't want to work with. If you want to cut corners on the job that's already stressful, if you're going to cut corners on paper, you're going to cut corners going into a house searching someone, or, that guy you don't want to be around. Or girl, whatever it is.
So, like, if you're doing an 8-hour shift, how many breaks do you get in the thing? Or is it just to kind of
We don't get any breaks sometimes. Sometimes there's, like, no break, no lunch breaks. It's so busy.
So does that put, like, a mental stress on cops, too, obviously? Like,
yeah. I mean, when I get home, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to, like, sit on my couch and watch TV. Or not even. I go straight to bed.
Damn.
It's like, give me 15, 20 minutes to myself, and that's it.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
All right, Z, did you have those facts pulled up?
Yeah, there's a lot of stats on this, but they're pretty interesting. Some of the ones that I thought were pretty awesome. So going back to the whole prison system in the U.S. Nationwide. So there's this company, it's called Horizon, and it's the largest privately held healthcare contractor for the U.S. prison system. And it treats 319,000 prisoners nationwide a year. And so the one documentary that I watched went over the various practices of that company in actually Arizona, where they showed like all these sick prisoners that were there and basically just being treated like animals. They were getting no treatment. They actually did not even have the protocol on how to treat these people. And they had one of the nurses from this company come out and talk. And this was her quote. She said, we basically save money because we skip the ambulance and bring them right to the morgue. And
oh, shit.
Yeah, that just looking at that
Can
and
you
just
repeat
hearing
that
her
one
say
more-
that.
Repeat that one more time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a good quote.
Yeah.
And going back, so this is a nurse, Diane, that works at Corizon, the healthcare
Right.
company for the prison system. And her quote was, "We save money because we skip the ambulance and bring them right to the morgue."
Wow.
And
Even the
I
dog
think she
and
liked
Bella
the
doesn't like
quote.
that either.
Nah, she's not satisfied with
Oh
that.
my God,
Bella's not
that's-
happy.
But here, check this out. The CEO of that company,
Yeah.
now this is from 2009. His name is Rich Halworth. He made $996,000.
Makes sense. Did you hear his first
just
name?
around $1 million.
His name is Rich.
Rich Halworth.
All right,
yeah.
makes
Wait, how
sense.
much did he make?
$996,000.
That's
Just
his-
under $1 million.
That's his salary?
That's his salary, the
Holy
CEO of
smoke.
that company. And, they were just talking about the whole system. And this system is there for rehabilitation that we were talking about before.
Right.
Correcting these people. It's a correction facility.
Right.
But the whole motive is not to correct these people.
'Cause
It's
you wanna
for
keep-
profit.
You want to keep the billing
Yeah.
going. The
You
longer
wanna-
they're there, you build them more.
Exactly. You keep that revolving door going. So, I mean, and they use taxpayer money to do all this, to make all that
God.
money. They get taxes from 29 states right now, and they're actually trying to get more. I think they're up to 33 or something
That's
right
just them.
now.
That's just them
let's open up a
expanding.
prison.
Honest to God,
So
that's
what?
open up a prison.
Yeah, let's go.
It's so hard to hear these things, but
I can't wait to
unfortunately-
lock you up, Muhammad.
Huh?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all these things are businesses, and
Wow.
anything that's for profit, some of these institutes should not be for profit,
Yeah.
and that should not be allowed. That's absolutely ridiculous.
That's where it goes down the hill.
Yeah, but they say in capitalism, everything has to be for profit.
Yeah.
We got to draw the line. I mean, surely this
sh-
is one of those points.
There's
where
a
we're all-
solution. We should
It's
just.
messed up.
I mean, the Chinese are doing it. Just become communist.
We should just vote for Trump.
Yeah. let them shake things up. Man, the election is next month? Almost a month.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
debate is tomorrow.
The
Yeah.
debate
Can't
is gonna
wait to
be
see
What
that.
time is
awesome.
that debate?
It's probably gonna be 2 hours, or at least an hour. I think
What time is it going to start?
7 or 8. I don't know.
Joe Rogan should do a fight companion.
Nice.
I'm gonna
Do
get
a
some
lot.
buffalo wings. I can't wait.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Tickets are sold out everywhere. He's gonna do bigger than Monday Night Football too. It's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
like the scary, man. And it's gotten pretty close too. I think, right?
Yeah,
I think he was leading for a little bit, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's caught up.
But it's
That
pretty-
lead just went away as soon as Hillary Clinton that one night. She just kind of collapsed,
She had pneumonia.
got pneumonia, and just with that, just looking really close right
Guys,
now.
relax. She's still a human being. She can get sick, but
Sam Harris said it best. Like, if
And she lies, so that's okay, right? Let's figure for that.
No.
Nah,
that's
dude,
another story,
They're both
but-
so bad. It doesn't.
We've got no candidates,
But-
man.
Nope.
yeah, but like she's still a lot better than
I still like his idea about the wall thing with Mexico. I think
Yeah.
they've been talking about it since the 70s. No, really, they've been talking about it since the 70s.
Right.
And he said he's going to have Mexico build it. And I thought he was like the craziest. I'm like, this guy's nuts. He said Mexico's going to build a wall. But then when I heard his speech in, I think it was in Nevada or something, he
okay,
actually explained how. He says, I had a meeting with the president,
right?
sat down, and I spoke with him, and I said, you know those companies that are in China? I want to bring those companies. How would you like those companies in Mexico? Now that cuts down on our costs. You can have great jobs here. We can't bring them here because it's too expensive. We know
Right.
that. We'll put them in Mexico. But if we're going to bring those businesses for you, you got to build a wall. And the president said, sure. That's a pretty good business deal. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean,
Instead
it's just
of-
a waste of resources too, right? Because it's still not going to stop people from jumping.
Anything
wall.
that
But-
there's an obstacle for, they're going to try to figure out how
I mean,
to
they'll
get
find their
past.
way.
but read between the lines, guys.
Yeah,
They've been talking about the wall since the 70s.
right.
So obviously the people want to hear that. So he's talking about it, but he's also saying, "Hey, you're going to build it, but
Yeah,
we're going to
but
bring."
even okay, let's say if that is one good idea, there's still a lot of flaws in him that doesn't justify.
Oh yeah, he's not a polished. Here's the thing: the presidency in the last couple of years has always been about. It's ever since Bush. It's always been about. The presidency is a family business.
Right.
Bush, Clinton, now Clinton, probably Chelsea Clinton. I mean, it's a
Chocolate
family
bit.
business. It's a family business. Just the truth of the matter is, it's sickening.
Yeah.
And by the way, Obama deported more illegal immigrants than any other president in history.
Right.
So, cut all the bull about he's racist and he's this. he's not a polished politician. He doesn't know how to speak like a polished, experienced politician because he talks to you like I think when I hear him on TV, he talks to me how I'm talking to you right now. He's not fluff. He's not giving me the backwards.
But he's hilarious. But he should be for president candidate.
Okay, but now, so Hillary Clinton, when they asked her about the emails and they ask her about this, she'll run around the table, but she's totally professional.
Yeah.
Now, would you rather have someone talk to you that way and not answer a question and be evasive, or
if it was up to me, I would have neither of those two.
But I'm saying as a person, I want you to have iron in your words.
Yeah,
like I want that plaid shirt or those plaid shorts. They're terrible, but that's the truth.
Yeah, don't diss that on.
It's iron.
Bullshit,
cut
man.
the hit me with
straight to the point.
Yeah, don't hit me with the fluff.
I hate your shorts.
Yeah,
don't you dare.
No wonder Bella barks. She barks every time she's around you.
Hashtag hate the shorts.
Could do a whole podcast on that.
There's a thing.
There's a pattern going on here.
Plaid and Muhammad. I don't know what it is, but he loves it.
Yeah,
it's in my soul.
But my point.
Genetic makeup is plaid.
but yeah, going back to your point, yeah, you totally want somebody that can talk to the ordinary people. We're not all presidential. I mean, why do presidents talk like that? It's a bit strange.
Is it
polished? Trump. I say he's idiotic with the shit that comes out of his mouth sometimes. But you gotta be like, damn. I mean, it's kind of like I'm thinking it, but you gotta say it better. But it's only gonna come with time. I mean, hey, listen, we gave Obama 4 years,
right?
We gave Bush 8 years. I mean, we gave Obama 8 years, Bush 8 years.
Yeah.
I say I'll give this guy 4.
I don't know about that, man.
I mean,
you gonna vote for him?
Absolutely.
You're fucking crazy, man.
I'm gonna vote.
Cut him off. Cut his mic.
Cut it off.
Oh, stop.
You lost.
You just convinced me too.
Man,
cut his mic too. And cut him.
It's great. I mean, I know every time I say it to someone, they go, "What? But you're Mexican." I says, "No, you're being racist. You can't think that way." My mom and dad. Oh, and now they're Trump supporters now after I have to show them. Listen.
Oh, my God.
No, man. I think he's bad for the world, dude.
He's bad for the world, but his main point when you hear Hillary talk, she's so professional. It's like, what is she hiding?
Yeah. She's grimy.
How many times did she recite
You don't even
have
to ask what she's hiding. You know what she's hiding.
Is
now
hiding.
we do.
It's
not personal,
No, she does it to the American. She completely lies to the American people. And
she does.
So I mean,
they all do.
We hate Trump so much. We're gonna vote for Clinton. You can't think that way.
You know what? I'll vote.
We gotta think.
I'll vote for Trump if that means more Ivanka Trump. Honestly,
absolutely.
Amen.
I mean, and also with Hillary Clinton, you kind of know what you're gonna get when she becomes president. With Trump, actually, it's an unknown. You don't know.
That's what's scary, though.
No, I don't even think he knows.
Nuclear
even
weapons.
Republicans are afraid of Trump. Republicans are they're shaking.
Control him.
They're shaking. They're like, if the Republicans want, here's the truth: the Republicans, they want Clinton. They want Clinton,
right?
Because it's business as usual in Wall Street. If Clinton gets in, the Republicans and all those people, the lobbyists, are going to continue to make money if Clinton gets in. If Trump gets in, he's already disbanding so many agencies that are a waste of time.
Is that worth the divide that he's building?
I'll give him a chance. You know what?
He's bringing out the differences more than that's setting us far back than all the other bullshit that Wall Street's going to do.
The police that are fucking up is what's causing the racial tensions.
He's giving a voice to for people to express the differences. We shouldn't have any racial politics. It should be we all are human beings. Doesn't matter what color or race.
Are cartel members rapists? Simple question, simple answer.
I don't know.
Do cartel members?
Sure, if they're gonna go that far, killing people, why
you don't have to
explain.
I just want to simple. Do cartel members rape?
Possibly yes.
Do cartel members kill?
Yeah.
Do cartel members do the sex trafficking?
Probably yeah.
Oh, that's where most of their money comes from. So that's who Trump was talking about, but he didn't say it, and he wasn't that specific. Automatically, people in the media jumped onto, that's why when I see Mexicans out there and Hispanics, they're going crazy over Trump. Like, he said this, he said that, but this is what he meant. Is it not true? The cartels, they're like killing so many people out there and raping.
But I don't think as a world leader you should be talking in that way, because the other in order for the whole world to work, you need to be. I guess we established a standard where you have to talk in this stupid sense.
But does it say more about Trump, or does it say more about the people over here? I think it says more about his supporters than it does about him. That we have those people here, and that's what they want to hear. So
Mhm.
you can say that he's giving a voice to all these people,
Right.
but these people are there. Isn't it better to kind of have the system blow up in a way so
Yeah.
we can get a revolution going? But even then, I don't think I have a feeling that Trump, if he wins, he gets in office and he goes to the Republican and he'll be like, just make me look good.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then and it might just be business as usual as it's always been.
Mm-hmm. Or it might not be, or it might, you know what I mean? Like, you know what? Actually, where I found that out with the whole meeting with the president on a Mexican radio station, and they were like, the president did a thing. I met with Trump, and he spoke like this, and yeah, I didn't agree with his values, but when he sat down and explained it to me, I said, you know, and I'm like, this fucking guy. I'm like, Trump's doing some business. Like, he really.
I don't know, man. He was a scam artist too.
I thought he wasn't building the wall anymore. And he's about to run for the country. He's about to run the country, but he hadn't been able to run so many of his businesses that
he's
he
not
had to.
qualified. I mean,
What makes Clinton qualified?
She's
Yeah,
not.
right?
She's not qualified.
He's
I
got
agree.
Bill Clinton.
What made Obama qualified? He was a one-term senator, and he became a president. What made him qualified?
He's
You know?
funny.
He's
Right,
funny.
he's charismatic.
Yeah.
Hillary is Obama without the charisma.
Yeah, and probably more corruption.
She's so weird.
And with some brain disorder.
And right,
Apparently the rumors.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
God, and she like claps, and apparently she has a body double and stuff. Dude, some crazy. It's like TV
Some,
show, man. It's like
Sci-fi TV
Oh
show.
my
Yeah.
God. This is
Clinton family's nuts.
Well,
man.
let's find out tomorrow, right? Let's see the debate. Let's see if they actually talk about plans or are they going to just throw insults at each other.
right.
they're gonna
That's
tear
what I
each
wanna
other
see.
up.
yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
We're watching
Oh.
live.
Well, he's the biggest fraternal police union is backing Trump. So
Are they?
the Fraternal Order of Police, that's the biggest
What the
police
hell is
union.
that?
Yeah, I heard that.
They're backing Trump. Oh, and the Ricketts too. If you're a Cubs fan, they're backing Trump too. And
Wait, what's the
A lot of
fraternal what? So it's like
It's
like a.
it's a union. Like you ever heard
union
of
of the
Teamsters
cops.
or
Okay, so they're
they're a
union,
union
for cops.
for the police all over the country. So
So each police community or whatever, their unions backed by them,
Mhm.
or is there multiple?
the Fraternal Order of Police, they're like, okay, so every agency has like their union. Every
Right.
employee in the agency has the union, and that's
So then, are they encouraging?
one of the biggest unions.
So are they encouraging the cops to also back Trump then?
Absolutely. Well, Trump is the only political. Okay, Black Lives Matter started on a lie. We all know that, right?
Right.
Okay.
I don't know. We all know that, but
No, I can explain it if you like right now.
sure.
Okay,
You
so
want-
we have a black president, a black attorney general, and they're saying that this is the most racist time ever. How? The system is black.
Right.
Okay. Michael Brown attacked a police officer. We know that because the Department of Justice said that.
Right.
When it first happened, witnesses said he had his hands up, hence hands up, don't shoot started.
Mm-hmm.
Then Black Lives Matter started from that. But when the investigation was done, they went to trial, and they found out that Officer Wilson was justified in killing Michael Brown because he was being attacked.
Right.
So did Black Lives Matter start because Officer Wilson did his job, or just start because people lied?
Yeah, I think no. I've been reading about articles. I agree.
right.
I'm trying to build
So
up.
Black
on that.
Lives Matter started on a lie.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's what the podcast I was referring to, Glenn Rowley. He's also a black economist, and he wrote an article on Boston Review, whatever it's called,
Mhm.
saying that don't let this person, start don't let this guy be a hero for a cause that you're trying to do, because he's
Right.
not the person that should be on that
He's not
image.
the poster boy.
Yeah, he's not the
Yeah.
poster boy, because what he did was incorrect.
But what I was going to say to get to the politics is political leaders came out and supported the Black Lives Matter, and they're the ones that started the movement. They helped
Right.
fuel the movement.
Right.
Who came out and said, hey, whoa, the police aren't bad? Who came out and said that about the police? Zero people.
I think a lot of people.
Zero political people came out publicly and said the police, leave them alone. They're good. Who came out and said that? Who supported the police?
I mean, just from my few hours of the news, people always do say
Obama
cops.
came out after and said that there's racism in the police. The system is racist. Police officers are racist. Obama came out. That's our highest. He came out and said that.
Yeah, but I think that there are reports in the Ferguson where like the Department of
But my-
Justice
my-
went and they found out that they were wrong doing so. I think that's where he was probably basing it off.
No, the Department of Justice came in and found out that Officer Wilson was.
Yeah, they found an incident, but they also did like an audit on the whole thing where there were that.
Yeah, there's
like
a high number of stops that are black, but again,
that was encouraged too. It sounded like
okay. But I'm talking about which political figure came out and supported the police.
I mean, I don't follow politics that much to answer.
You know, just watching basic news, and I do read a lot. I even got riled up and I got into that whole thing before I got informed. I'm like, man, the cops are doing this and that. I was not seeing the other side at all.
But my point is politically, our president did not support the police. He came out without the facts, no facts.
Yeah.
Before the Department of Justice did an investigation, he said, if that was my son, or, you know, he came along the lines and said, Michael Brown could have been my son. That could have been me. That was like totally wrong. He fueled that fire. He started something. Clinton did the same thing. She invited the Black Lives organizers and the mothers of Michael Brown and those guys. She invited them to her convention. How could you do that? So that's why when Trump came out and said he's the only one that's supporting the police, the only one.
I think we all should support the police. Like, I think there's still, I don't know, after reading or looking, you know, into what Sam Harris, because the way he words things for me is just awesome. And the stats that he provided were kind of eye-opening. And, you know, you have to understand there's two sides to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think the cops are going out and doing, you know, wrong things. It's just wrong. It's just the society's, I think the whole part of, you know, when black people were slaves and then that whole, what's that, Jim Crow era and all that stuff. And after they were, you know, when the segregation laws were, you know, dissolved and we didn't do anything as a nation to give them a fair, you know, start. There was racism that kind of kept them back.
Yeah,
and
so you're saying like they started from the cellar.
Right.
And then, you know, okay.
And it's been, so they are, that those communities are a byproduct of what the nation has built. And then that byproduct has affected what the cops are becoming. And it's just a domino effect, if you will, until we fix the root problem, which is our errors that we made in the past. I don't think we can move forward correctly. We have to, one, for me, it's to dissolve all like the, you know, the drug, what are they fighting and shooting for? Get rid of that thing. You know,
okay, we get rid of the drugs, Muhammad. Now these people are forced to get jobs, right?
Right. And
well, I'm just saying, now the poor people have to get jobs,
right?
And now what if they don't get jobs?
Right. So this is the argument everyone makes. You know, people from these communities are just leechers of the government money. You know, they don't want to get jobs and whatnot. Okay, let's say someone has to be rational, right? Like, are there even enough jobs for everyone in this country? Are there if there's 300 million people living, are there 300 million jobs for everyone? And the answer is hell no, there isn't. So no matter what society you're gonna have, you'll never have utopia. Let's get that. You know, that's fact for me.
How many? Okay, you're right.
You can never have any society that you will have enough jobs for everyone. So there's always going to be a portion of a society that needs to depend on the government, right? And no matter what. You know, if you're a communist, if you're whatever system, do
you believe that the help from the government needs to be regulated?
It does. So that's what I was going to go into. So there will be people that do truly need the money, and there's going to be people that understand the system and going to break it. And then so I guess you can look into the data of how many people don't have jobs and rely on government, and out of those, how many of those truly people do need it?
I'll tell you something. I'll give anyone who uses the money as long as you're not a drug addict,
right?
But if you want to go do heroin and do that.
So then drug addict also means no alcohol, no prescription drugs, like what? No coffee, no sugar.
That's not drugs.
Everything is a drug. For me, I think like everything could be a drug. What is a drug in a sense then? Huh?
Yeah, I mean, how do you define drug? Is it something that's just addictive? Is it something that has a negative effect on the human body? So depending on how you define it, you could call anything a drug.
Time out. I mean, we know what drug is. Come on. Okay, there's a giant difference between freaking meth and coffee.
Absolutely.
What?
We're not hippies here. Let's just no. And he makes a great point.
Right.
I mean,
so here's the thing. Some people can take meth one time and they won't be addicted. Right. Everyone's body is different. Some people can take coffee one time and they're addicted. Now they need to have coffee each time in the morning.
Isn't coffee good for you?
It could be, yeah.
But the point is, we know what a drug is because it's been defined for us.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying there's a difference between meth and coffee.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course.
Okay, and then if that's a scenario where if you don't want to pay, if they are going to be taking government money.
Maine started. I don't know when they did it, but now in order to get public assistance, I believe they still do it. You have to work or volunteer 20 hours a week.
Right.
You have to take a drug test and pass, and then you get your your assistance, public assistance.
Right.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, because if you want public assistance, and then you got to be a
prove us that you can be productive.
You got to be a productive member of society. If you're just going to take this money and sit at home all day and take drugs, then you're not gonna benefit the community in a productive way.
Or your children or whatever.
If you can't find a job, then go to the park, help, be a coach or something. Yeah. So like in that regards, I would say, okay, that sounds good.
No one ever got fired for drinking too much coffee.
You never know, man. Overdose on coffee.
Right.
But I think that will be the start, is to understand the situation.
And by the way, Trump wants to do that.
Do what?
Regulate public assistance.
I mean,
this is turning into like
a Trump rally.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to edit all this out.
Yeah. Don't throw.
We're not gonna be doing.
Don't throw bricks at me.
We will
reveal his name. No.
Damn it, Frank.
Going back to trying to fix the core problem. So what's happened in the past is in the past, right? We can't go back and fix anything. That's
right. Once you understand that, then you can probably move forward correctly, I think, right?
Yeah.
Until we acknowledge that was, we've held them back.
And the first step is being able to talk about these things, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. And being able to talk without having to worry about being politically correct all the time.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that, like when we talked about it, and we can actually talk about this as Muslims, right?
Right.
When you see all the trouble in the Middle East,
right?
There's Muslims most of the time killing other Muslims all the time.
ISIS.
But so they're just killing amongst each other. But it turned into a huge bulletin and like a big thing like jihad when you have somebody outside of Islam kill them.
Right.
But we just forget about everything else.
Yeah.
That most of the bloodshed is being done by us.
Wow.
And I feel like there's a similar problem in the black community. I mean, you have to be honest about it. Most of the crime is in that part of society in the U.S.
Right.
But if we don't, the only way to move forward is to acknowledge that and to correct that root problem.
I think one of the issues that we have is when we bring in like, the statistics, that it is predominantly like black people and this and that. And then like right off the bat, it turns into this race thing and a lot of black people get upset over it. But, it is certain black people. It's a certain area where this is all concentrated. And,
it's the poor side of America.
Yeah, the poor side, where they're in this
I would
vicious...
say the criminal side.
Yeah.
Why is it criminal? Because we just...
Because only criminals, like black, white, Hispanic, brown, yellow, only the criminals are going to get offended.
Yeah, but
the educated... Whether you're educated or not, the ones that are working hard to be productive, they're going to say, yeah, you're right. Like the thank yous that I get when they roll their windows down. That's the working class black people that in the community that
they're not the problem.
They're not. They want us to help, and I want to help.
Right.
So when unfortunately we say black people, it targets that entire thing, and then they get looked at that same way.
Right.
So same
they
way
have every right to look at it that way.
Yeah, and same way with Muslim people. ISIS goes and blows up, and this tragic thing that's happening right now, it generalizes all Muslim people. But Muslim people are fantastic.
I mean, but they do get offended, right? But I don't. Do you get offended?
No, not anymore.
You understand what they're talking about.
I actually started defending it.
Right, and you understand that it's our problem that we have to fix. And if we don't have people speaking up against it from that same group, how are we ever going to get out of it?
Right.
It is what it is.
And like when Rahm Emanuel was getting elected last year, and, they were talking about when he came in power as a mayor, there was a lot of there wasn't enough money in the city's budget, so they had to cut like some crazy amount of schools. I think like 100 some schools, and a lot of those were
mental health agencies.
Yeah, I think it was 120 some schools that they had to close down. And by doing that, it starts. You're not going to take schools away from good neighborhoods because you're going to have a lot of soccer moms, rallying and patrolling. You're going to do it from neighborhoods that don't have voices. So then you shut them down and you combine those schools, and now one teacher has a class of 40 or 50 students. That's a failed system.
Yep.
These kids are not going to learn anything. They're gonna be there to get the proper education, attention that they need to grow and be prepared. Be prepared for the future, and then we all of a sudden have expectations. Oh, if I can do it, you can do it too. No, that's not true. I went to a school where there was only 30 or 25 kids in the class, where a teacher could, even then that those classes are big, you can argue, but still I had better education than they did. So they're getting a failed infrastructure.
Watered down.
Yeah, so failed infrastructure. Until we fix that, none of this problem is going to go away.
That's a really good point, because that's the counter argument, right? Against when we talk about a certain society being most criminal, they would say, why don't you take a step back and look at, like you're saying, look at the system. Mm-hmm. So that's institutional racism, right?
Right.
We have a system in place that keeps people there.
Right. Until we fix that system, none of this is going to go away. And that's the sad truth.
More so, there's just this vicious circle that area is like stuck in, where there's no jobs. Like if you go to Southside Chicago, go take a drive. There's no jobs. There's just where the only source of their income they have to fall back on is selling drugs.
Right.
So that's your first problem.
And there's no stores or businesses there either. Who would want to open a store there that's going to get robbed up, or because these people are hungry, so they're willing to do anything to survive at the end of the day. So one, there's no jobs there, and then we expect them to get jobs. Okay, go find a job, and they don't have a car. So the next opportunity is to go to the city. How am I going to get there? I can't afford to pay $5-6 to take 6-7 trains to get to the city. And once you get there to apply, you don't even have the qualifications to apply. You never had the education. You can't. The stupid standards that we set to talk when you were being interviewed, you don't have those standards, right?
And not even all that. Gang members literally come up because it's a numbers game.
Right.
You got to protect your turf. You got to have people. It's a war that the police and these gangs are in. But furthermore, they literally come up to people young where they're very impressionable at that point, and they get swapped up. 14, 15-year-old. The average age of someone getting shot right now is 28.6 years old.
Shit.
I mean, that is so young. So what they're trying to do is so obvious. They need to make a living.
I'll say something and I'll ask you a question. Like in that same documentary, I was saying Policing the Police, the cops on that show were talking about how they know they're not allowed to carry guns. So they'll make young kids carry guns and do the dirty work, because the kid that's 13 or 14 is not going to get the hard time that they would. Like, do a lot of cops see that all over the place?
Yeah, it's common. A lot of women and a lot of kids carry.
So they'll make them do the bigger deals, or like have them take, because the if they were gonna do it, they'll go to jail for 5-6 years. Whereas this kid will probably get a slap on the wrist, get 3 months,
And I've never seen a case like that, but I'm sure it happened.
Yeah, they were talking about how Newark that's common. They try to drag kids into it. So by doing that these kids at 13 and 14 will start making money already. So why should I go to school and study hard when I can start?
There you go.
Do you remember that kid in college we went to, a Dominican kid? Anyway, he says he saved up like $30,000 by the time he was like 15.
Okay.
Oh my!
Remember, he was in our class.
It's trying to come to me. How did he save?
He was a little gangbanger.
I think
shit.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, he was in, and he started his own business. Now he has his own business in the Dominican Republic.
Hey, Mama, I made it.
He got out.
He made it.
But he was smart enough to realize, like, when I was 17, I was like, I can't be doing this shit. So saved up. He said
that is smart.
In a shoebox. In a shoebox. He said when he was 13, when he was like 11 years old, 12, he'd be running the drugs back and forth.
Yeah.
And the gangbanger would slip him money here. And he, in a shoebox, he said over like 3 years, he saved like $30,000.
Holy shit.
And then he went to school with him. We hung out with him all the time.
I'm starting to come. I don't know.
And then he was like weird.
Slowly.
Ali was a gangbanger?
And no, this kid was like straight. Like, he wore a suit all the time because he worked at the bank.
Oh, yeah. Did he have glasses?
I don't know.
Ali was their accountant.
Yeah.
Come here, nerd.
Let me do your bookkeeping.
And
you got it all wrong.
But it's funny how you say the kids, but that's the story. I just remembered him.
Yeah. It's crazy.
We're veering off, I think.
No, that's a good kind of veer off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Reclass in the past. But yeah.
All right, man. That was pretty good.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you doing this.
That was a blast. Thank you
for
so much.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks. Bella and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck on your walk.
All right, Rizzo.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
All right,
You're the
peace
best.
out.
Take it easy, guys.
See ya. media.